New unannounced iPhone coming very soon.
Welcome to the All Featured podcast, where we talk about all things AI, future tech, Apple, consumer technology, humanoid robots.
Mm-hmm.
And today is no exception to that. We are talking about a possible iPhone mini.
Yeah. So the Mini has maybe I would say like a cult following because it's for people who like the smaller iPhones, and Apple actually made an updated Mini. I think it was last with the 13. But this new version might be combining that old tech with some new tech from Apple, which is the Fold. So the foldable iPhone, rumors are saying it might actually be about the size of a Mini. And this is coming from 9 to 5 Mac. Apple's answer for iPhone mini lovers could be coming next year. The funny thing I think immediately is that it could be cool that it's that size, but aren't mini lovers not going to like this?
Yeah, that was the whole idea that I thought about, which is like, if your whole thing is most of the people who liked minis who I knew like hated technology. Their thing is like, give me the smallest phone that works, that's like the cheapest, and this doesn't check any of those boxes. It is
Mm-hmm.
small in its like little form factor when it would be folded up,
Yeah.
but it's really big. Like it's small when you need it to be small and big when you need it to be big. Also, it's not less expensive than any of those things. So you're paying twice as much for 3 screens on that phone now,
Mm-hmm.
one for the outside and then the double wide on the inside. And so, like, people who don't like technology aren't going to want that hinge there. They just want the small phone. They're the people who
Yeah.
like don't even like technology to begin with. So this doesn't check any of those boxes for an iPhone mini person besides it just being the same screen size.
Yeah, so the details here are that the Fold's outer display is sized like a new iPhone mini. And it's actually something I haven't really played much with foldables, but it is very interesting that in order to get the Fold and be able to utilize this without unfolding it, you really have to add a secondary display because you can't fold over that display, and it needs to open like a book basically. Very interesting that it would be that size. I think that that's probably a good size as a foldable overall device, but this headline I don't think gets it right because I don't think, like you're saying, I don't think people who like the mini want a twice as thick or 1.5 times as thick version of the mini with this giant option. They want just the mini.
I'm just a big phone person. Like, give me the biggest phone. I'll fit it in my pocket, by any means necessary. But, you know, just like having a mini double wide, like another wallet in my pocket, doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that like the fold out screen gets as big, and they're always sort of like rectangular shape. So if you're watching something like a show that's on like a really thin aspect ratio or like a movie, made for a movie screen, you're not going to be using all that real estate. It's going to get bottlenecked. It even on like Pro Maxes gets bottlenecked a little bit on the top and the
Mm-hmm.
bottom. You're not using that full screen.
Yeah.
So like that's just what's going to happen with this. So they didn't make the real estate like, oh, I'm pointing at you, but like wider to get like a fuller, 16:9. It's like 4:3. So all these things are like almost big squares that almost look like weird
Yeah.
tablet shapes.
You could watch a movie like Oppenheimer as the director intended, in almost 4:3
Oh,
aspect
great.
ratio.
Great.
But on your Fold, I'm sure that's what Christopher Nolan.
For pure IMAX,
Yeah.
4:3.
I'm sure that's what Christopher Nolan would be very thrilled about.
Is he the one pushing for this? Is Nolan behind this? All these foldables coming out? He's like, people need to see IMAX in true
Yeah.
form.
It's funny. I have a friend who I love seeing Christopher Nolan movies in like proper IMAX 70 millimeter if possible, and he always is like, can't wait to watch that on a plane. And he's serious, and every time it's like, dude, but different strokes.
Is
For
it
different
me?
folks. No, it might as well be. But in any case, the reason these rumors are going with the iPhone mini idea is because the dimensions of the Fold are supposed to be 5.5 inches on the outer display, and the mini is 5.4 inches. So it's a tiny bit bigger. But other iPhone models today start with 6.1 inches and go up from there. So we're definitely looking at a smaller outer screen and a smaller overall profile as a result. But then, of course, you have the big option once you open it up.
Yeah, we'll see how this turns out. I haven't like maybe they all come out and I see someone else's and I try it out and it'll be great. I'll definitely be in an Apple store playing with it, but I don't know if this is like my direct upgrade or something that I would use. I just like even for the basic stuff. So I imagine like if you're texting, you'd be using the small screen, right? Or if you're
Mhm.
doing just like basic looking at an email or something. I really like want the bigger version of all those things. I want to be able to see it bigger. I want to, I'm turning into an old person where I need my eyes to be able to look at it, and I wanna be able to, like, watch a TV show and just sorta use one device and not be,
Mhm.
like "This is it. Give me a big screen, and it does everything."
Yeah.
But I can understand people, wanting something different or, not wanting to carry a tablet. If you really are switching between something like an iPad mini and a phone all the time, that's not good either.
Mhm.
But, we'll see what happens with battery life with these things.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens with, cost of these things. Like, you can almost we said this in other episodes, you can almost buy an iPad and a entry level phone,
Yeah.
and it'd be cheaper than buying what this device might look like, which is in like the $1,800 or something, right?
Yeah, well, around $2,000 is
Oh,
actually what is
2,000 before
expected.
tariffs,
Yeah,
right?
before
Before
this is
tariffs.
before tariffs. So if
So it might as
tariffs
well
are
be
in,
$100 million now.
it's gonna be quite expensive, it seems, unless they, I guess, exclusively build this in Brazil,
Oh, yeah.
which if you wanna know
Go
those
watch our other
details, go
episode.
watch a different episode, about how Brazil could be the new manufacturing hub for iPhones because of smaller tariffs. But yeah, around $2,000. And I think one thing that they mentioned is this is particularly great for like AI multitasking when you open it up. I take issue with the term AI multitasking because I'm kind of thinking, isn't the whole point of AI that you're not multitasking? It's you prompt it and it does all the work and you're not having to do much. But apparently that's part of the thing. And this week we have some new updates in the world of AI, particularly one who is Apple's partner, OpenAI. Well, I guess kind of partner. It's the only
Partner.
one. It's the only one available on Siri so far. And ChatGPT is apparently doing quite well with subscribers overall. They have grown in 2025 so far, and revenues have soared as well.
Yeah, we actually see more subscribers go up here. This isn't crazy. I think like when I saw ChatGPT start to trickle down to just normal people I knew and not like all the tech enthusiast people I knew, this is starting to become a tool that just the average person uses. And I think they keep adding features over time and they have good demos to show how they're getting better. They've been the like Apple of showing all these new features off when they did their Christmas event with their 12 days of open AI, like, and they actually, start to show us things like features and not like, here's this catch-all LLM that does everything. It's like, here's this thing that it does well,
Hmm.
and it might apply to you and it might not. And here's this next thing that it does well. And I love that all these other companies like Grok are coming into the fold. So it forced them to give us deep research on the cheap tier.
Hmm.
It forced them to give us search. It forced them to give us all these things that they were probably trying to charge more for. But on the flip side of this, they are doing better, but they need to do really better in order to actually pay back all the loans they've been taking for everything that's come in.
Yeah. So the numbers here are that reportedly they're generating at least $415 million per month, which is a 30% increase in revenue in only 3 months. And everything is soared, and they've added 4.5 million paying subscribers since the end of 2024. So that's definitely very good. But of course, that does include all these things that we're talking about. It includes Sora. It includes the new image generator, which
Yeah.
I have been wearing out.
Oh,
And
really?
I
It,
get,
it's really good.
yeah, I get limits for sure. And it says like you have to wait. Sometimes it's really arbitrary. Like you have to wait 3 minutes for your next one or 7 minutes. I would expect like tomorrow. I haven't reached the tomorrow limit. But so at the same time, it's like, yeah, you're gaining subscribers and getting more revenue, but you're delivering these features and deep research that are probably costing them way more on the back end. And it's like, I'm sure there's still like, I'm sure I've costed them quite a bit more than $20,
Yeah, in
even so
electricity.
far in April. So things have to rise, but they have to rise a lot and they have to get their profits going.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going to happen. Are we going to have more efficient models? Are we going to figure out, like, we sort of talk about a crossover? I don't know what they're actually going to name it, but when we talk about something like that, it means you put in a prompt and it delivers it to the right right tool that it has to use.
Mhm.
So you deliver a prompt, it knows that this is like a low level question, or it knows it has to go to search because it's based on the year 2025 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it starts to use these models specifically based on energy efficiency.
Mhm.
And if we learned anything from that NVIDIA conference, it's that any energy efficiency in these things is everything. You're going to have an AI factory running your factory, and the amount of electricity that uses is directly related to your profit margin. And it's not different for OpenAI. They are the AI factory over here. So,
Yeah, I think even recently Elon Musk was talking about how we're not going to be compute constrained, we're going to be energy constrained
yes.
quite soon. Because we have the chips, the production is going great, but now it uses electricity. And I think he even said it was transformer constrained specifically, is the way he put it. So, yeah, that's what we're facing here, and that's why the efficiency is so important because this stuff does use a lot of power. Um, but I can't wait to see that problem kind of solved, where it knows what model it needs to use. Because it is funny, and even as someone who uses it quite often, it'll suggest, "Oh, try using this model instead for this type of question," and I'm like, come on, like,
I
what?
paid for you,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
paid for you. I don't want to do this, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. On the flip side of this, we're seeing like a weird article come out by CNN Business that is a little apologizing for Apple's AI situation.
Mhm.
Um, it turns out that they're trying to say that Apple did not make a mistake by fumbling the ball with Apple Intelligence and showing us all these features an entire year before and not delivering on any of the major features. A lot of the little features they did, but uh, also, uh, it's not Apple AIs that is a letdown. It's AI as a whole that's a letdown.
Yeah. So this article goes into some details, and it's essentially kind of a perspective I agree with, but I don't agree that Apple has not let us down. So I almost think it's kind of both. And this is coming from someone who uses these tools quite a bit. Like what they're talking about is the consumer products where AI has been like shoehorned into everything. So it's like this new thing, your toothbrush now uses AI, your this uses AI, and it's going to make everything so much better.
I
And
want
we've
my
had all
teeth cleaned with machine learning, Ryan.
yeah, okay. Well, we'll get there. But but no matter what, like it feels like all these companies have promised so much is going to come as a result of AI, and then none of it has really like accelerated that much from a consumer perspective on the products we're being pitched. So I kind of agree with the article on that front that AI is somewhat of a letdown in that way. But they're arguing that Apple is just one of the companies mixed up in this, and that AI as a whole is the letdown, not Apple. But they have definitely, I disagree. They have totally fumbled this whole launch of this. They promised us and demoed us a lot of stuff. And I even saw someone on a podcast. I forget who it is. I wish I could credit it. But they were talking about the idea that because Apple has these prepared keynotes now, they were able to show this off a little easier. And if it was a live event like they used to do,
Yeah.
they might not have actually shown us as much capability because they couldn't have gotten away with it because it wouldn't have functioned.
Yeah,
Um,
that's interesting. We do still see a lot of live demos. Like
mhm,
the Amazon Alexa Plus demo was live, and they were very adamant to like not only ask it specific questions to make sure they weren't like overselling it.
mhm,
And even in everything, like all their literature about it, it is like very much here's like the 10 things it does. Don't ask it to do anything else. And it's like ask to turn on this TV show or whatever. Or they're very basic things that are all hammered into the Amazon ecosystem. But Apple showed us a lot of like very specific things demoed that they haven't even mentioned anymore. Like
mhm,
the crazy thing that the sales pitch was you can ask Siri about something in your email, like a very specific thing about a very specific person. And that AI would know everything about that person in that email. And you can go retrieve the information, which was in their demo.
mhm.
My mom's flight lands tomorrow, or what time does my mom's flight land tomorrow? And so that AI has to know who your mom is, because you're talking about it with general language. It has to know who your mom is. It has to know where in your email to find flight information. It has to match her name to that flight information, and it has to retrieve that information for you.
Mhm.
No company has pitched anything like this yet. There's AI agents that go out and find a flight for you. There's things that like go shopping for you or a travel itinerary, or we're building these AI agents. No one has promised anything like that yet.
Hmm.
And so, yes, Apple fumbled the ball, and yes, it's Apple Intelligence that got it wrong, not because that they are not doing well or like we don't know what's happening under the hood as far as their own personal LLMs or their own
Mhm.
personal things are going, but what we do know is that they promised something that no one else promised
Yeah.
that is turning out to not be true at all.
Yeah. I just had a flashback. Remember the Rabbit R1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it feels like?
It feels like that because that was I think that's what this article would be talking about. Like products we've had so many products like this that are promising to
And the
change
AI
things.
pin, yeah.
Yeah, and the humane pin, yeah. Those are released, right?
Yes.
But they have not done at all what we thought they were gonna
Yeah,
do.
because LLMs didn't go as fast as everyone thought they did,
Mhm.
which it could be what this is referring to. Like
Yeah.
LLMs are not, they're just another tool in the arsenal, but they're better than Google searches, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Like specifically if I need instructions on something, I'm not going to Google anymore and reading 10 articles.
Mhm.
And then I can't ask Google a follow-up question like, "Hey, this thing didn't work. Like,
Mhm.
what else should I try?"
Yeah.
And then I can ask it a follow-up question. This is a way better tool. It's a way better tool for $20 a month or whatever cost it's going to be
Yeah.
because troubleshooting it on the other end doesn't exist. There's no other product that does that thing besides looking through Reddit for like an hour and trying to find a fix for something, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
It's been great. I've been troubleshooting a lot of stuff lately, and there are the times where I like it gives me an option of something to do, and I'm like, I don't think that exists, or I don't think it fixes the issue, and then it says like, oh, my bad, and then corrects it. But at least you can do that instead of like going down a Reddit, and then you're looking and you're like, 2023. It's probably everything's changed since then,
yeah, yeah.
since this person uploaded and said this is how I fixed it. So it's really great to be able to troubleshoot, and there's like you're saying, it's so much better than a Google search.
The crazy thing too is Reddit came out with its own AI on all of Reddit's data, and
Mm.
Reddit's AI isn't even as good as using ChatGPT. It's wild, you know?
Yeah.
So like, anyways, ChatGPT deserves its place at least right now, and
Mhm.
there's other good LLMs out there like Grok. Like you could say the same thing about Grok. Like they were behind for months, and then they invested super heavily in a new supercomputer. Elon used everything he could to put that place together.
Mhm.
Like, had to use battery packs from Tesla and like all these weird restraints that no one thought was possible. And he built it in a shorter amount of time than anyone thought was possible. And his reward was getting an LLM that's just as usable as ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. And speaking of ChatGPT, I'll just move us on to a little thing that they passed this week or recently, and they've been passing, and that is the Turing test. So the Turing test is basically to determine if something's human, right?
Correct.
And ChatGPT's 4.5, I believe, was deemed to be human 73% of the time when it was instructed to adopt a persona. So it's beating current Turing tests. But what often happens with this type of thing is like, that's cool, but it's probably very good at taking a test. And so it's like, okay, the test needs to be better. It's kind of like the Kobayashi Maru in Star
What?
Trek. That's a,
All right, just explain it to me because if I don't know it,
well,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know
nerdy,
it well
but-
enough. I'm not a huge Star Trek person, but basically, like I know it's this test that they have to do, and the character figures out a way to get around the test and beat the test, but he didn't actually like beat the test. He beat the test, like in a roundabout way. And kind of feels like that might be what's going on here with these type of things, or it's like we need a new test, but that could also just be me saying no, it's not human. No, no way, it's gonna beat the test.
I don't think I don't think it's very hard if you're just using text based to figure out if something's human or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, imagine that you could just like use machine learning to use a bunch of chat data from anything, Facebook Messenger,
Mhm.
and then you just ask it to spit back out something that sounds like a person in this age group, and then they would just like do what LLMs do and give these responses. With this test that just happened, the LLMs were deemed more human than actual humans were on the Turing test.
Hmm.
So again, yeah, I think I agree with you that like maybe the test needs to change now that these tools are actually here, instead of just like thinking of this thing as the gold standard that like, okay, once it passes this thing, it's good. I mean, like we've had chatbots in the past. You could sort of like go down a path or whatever, but these things are good. And, the more we pretend like they're not and they're not able to pass as the people we are, the more we have to have like more safeguards or safe words or whatever.
Hmm.
Like someone can text your mom and convince them they're you, but that was always able to happen with scammers or whatever.
Hmm.
And so the world isn't that different. It's just that like now it's a robot. It's not
Yeah.
some guy in a foreign country trying to steal your information or something. So just keep your safeguards up in the middle of this, and I don't think we have a problem. It is very impressive that these things can beat those things as like LLMs can take on personas, but the voice modes are wild, and those are getting good too. To where didn't you have? We've talked about this on the channel before, but someone cloned your voice with 11 Labs and started making videos
Yep.
under your personality.
Yeah, they used my voice, and it took me a sec. I like kind of the way I realized it was the script more so than my own voice. I was like, I know this is not my own video, but did they just steal my voice or did they clone it? And then they said some things in a way that I'm like, oh, I wouldn't talk like that. So yeah, kind of scary there. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's a
totally.
prime example of like if it's convincing myself that it's myself, it could easily convince someone else that it's me.
Yeah, or like someone who just doesn't know you as well, or someone who's really old,
Hmm.
like it's pretty easy to just use someone's voice on something. These things are going to get better and better and better over the years too. So just like keep your guard up with
Hmm.
it. These things are good. Don't underestimate AI in these ways. It's like super easy to replicate all these things.
Hmm. Yeah, and in this test, 4.5 was even judged to be human significantly more often than actual
Yeah,
humans.
exactly.
So, pretty wild stuff there that it's doing better at the Turing test. But yeah, I'm gonna look more into this because I'm curious what the test entails and everything.
Yeah, we do have some good information with AI though. It's always good to like, have a good AI story. And I've actually really enjoyed using ChatGPT to just like as a therapist. I know that sounds I was the first one to say like don't do any of those things. Don't
Hmm.
like put any of your personal information into ChatGPT. It's just going to use it against you in the future.
Yeah.
That still might happen. I don't know. But as of right now, it's been really good to like this thing just happened. Like, what do you think the best like version of doing it? It's almost just like talking something out with someone, like a friend or something like that, when it's too late to talk to someone, or I don't exclusively use that. I still have other humans in my life, but
Good.
when other humans aren't an option,
Hmm.
or it's something maybe that's too personal, or you want to talk about something that's too weird or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, you could sort of like feel it out with an LLM, and it's been helpful. And I'm not the only one that thinks so because
Yeah.
we're seeing therapy actually get decent results.
Yeah. So Dartmouth researchers found in a first trial ever that AI-powered therapy chatbots actually resulted in improvements to participants' symptoms, which I mean, no matter what you say about it, that's great. Symptoms are improved.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it says in the article as well that they used safeguards. So like you don't want it exclusively, to only be used for, like if you get to a point with yourself where like self-harm is being talked about, or you're threatening violence on people, like you want safeguards to be built into these things. You want, because people are dealing with like really big emotions or mental illnesses, like you don't want those sorts of things. But for general talking things through, you know I think they did have safeguards there. So like if something did happen, you can actually connect with a human
Hmm.
and talk things out with a human, or try to figure out things like that. And it's the same sort of thing that they like. It made me think about not Waze, Waymo.
Hmm.
And Waymo is, if you don't know, the self-driving car that's deployed in like parts of California and Arizona,
Hmm.
and they use lidar in their whole system on top of the car, and the car drives itself. There's literally no driver in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
but there is a driver on standby somewhere in case some kind of an emergency happens.
Hmm.
And so that's how I think almost all things in AI are going to be used in the future. Like the AI is going to be doing the work, and then the human's going to be doing like the checking of the work, or handle like the more emergency situations.
Yeah.
And that's how we should be using these things, especially because like what are the results over there?
Yeah. I mean, overall, it's good and people saw good results. But there's a quote here that says, "There's no replacement for in-person care, but there are nowhere near enough providers to go around."
Exactly.
And that's kind of the main point here. And I think a lot of people kind of overlook, like, if you're at the point for a lot of people to where you need to consider therapy for the first time, it's already intimidating to admit it for a lot of people. And then it's intimidating to actually reach out to providers. And then when you reach out, sometimes you don't know if it's covered. Maybe your insurance doesn't provide a good route. It's then pricey, or like you reach out, they said that they have openings on their website.
The worst.
They don't have
For
openings.
anything you're trying to
Mhm.
get from, we've been doing pregnancy doctor stuff to
Mm.
therapy to anything. It's like you call 4 places and they're like, "We don't have openings. Why would they say that on the website?"
Yeah.
And then that's the healthcare system.
Yeah, so you have all that, and then you think like, "Oh man, all of that coming from a person who's already down and depressed. You have to take on this huge monumental task basically to get the help that you need." So being able to just the barrier to entry to talking to a chatbot is super low.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's going to be great. And like you said, it's something that really has to be safe and safeguarded and whatnot. But if it can help people just be able to immediately talk to someone, and then maybe it can then point them where they need to go with a human, I think this is great. It's
Or
cool
the
to see it
fact
being researched.
Yeah, definitely. Or the fact that these things are available 24/7,
Hmm.
like you could have someone on call 24/7 to be like the safeguard person, but these chatbots are available in any quantity to any number of people like right after something crazy happens. Like if you have a crazy fight or something crazy in your life happens or someone passes away tragically or something.
Yeah.
Like this thing can be there in the meantime before you get to like an actual therapist, before you can even just talk to a friend or something like that. This is like a great in between to like just put your thoughts on paper, almost like journaling in a way, just like another form of journaling. And yeah, I think this is great for the future of humanity in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So the average reductions here on this page are major depressive disorder down 51% as far as symptoms go for people using Therabot, generalized anxiety disorder down 31%, and then eating disorders down 19%. So, I mean, great results.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
obviously a small enough study or smallish study with one specific bot designed for this, but I'm glad to see this being studied. And I don't know, maybe this will be something that comes to iPhones in the near future.
Definitely.